Welcome to TBS. Today I am going to just go over this deck that I got. It's so beautiful and I'm obsessed with goddesses. So it's called the Ancient Feminine Wisdom of Goddesses and Heroines Divination Deck. And it's from US Game Systems. And you can tell because of the dumb tuck box. Why can't we get some good boxes? Why? What's so hard? What is so hard? It's ridiculous. But anyway, so I'm really into goddesses. I have another goddess oracle deck. All summer long, actually since March, I have had all of my oracle decks with someone who is learning about oracle and is exploring her healing gift. And I let her borrow all of them because I want her to learn. And she has two of her own or one of her own. But I had a bunch of different kinds and even an animal one for children. So I thought maybe she could like it. But right now she's out of state. And because of COVID, I haven't been able to get them back. So I went on ahead and bought this one since I don't have any for a while. And Ancient Feminine Wisdom, this is one I've wanted for a while because of the goddess aspect. And these are all Greek, Roman, Hellenistic goddesses, so I know a lot about them. Let's go ahead and open. Sometimes I like to open US from the bottom. And let's look here. We have Pythia's Neat Oracle burner, I guess you would call it. Past, present, future is written there. And so this is denoting that that the divination part of this oracle is important. And I really think that's neat. Now, the way that these have been put in was by chronological order of who was created first and who was the most important, etc. But I put them alphabetical, not realizing that the manual actually has them as they came in the book. I should have known that, but whatever. So I still have them in their order, and I don't know how to say some of them perhaps, but we'll learn. I might even just do a few of these and then go into the rest later because I'm I'm like obsessed. I think I might even read these to you because they're so exciting. So the first is one I had never heard of before. Okay. Alcestis, devotion. Devoted and in love with her husband, Alcestis has sacrificed her life for his. Though she is not ready to let go of her beloved husband, she has drunk the chalice of poison and is prepared to die. Her husband, Admetus, was promised by Apollo that he could escape death if someone else died in his place. When the day of death came, Alcestis gave her life willingly, so Admetus could continue to live. Alcestis embodies the feminine acts of dedication and sacrifice performed for relationships and attachments. Heracles entered the underworld and wrestled the spirit of Alcestis away from the clutches of death to bring her back to life. On a psychological level, Heracles personifies Alcestis's animus, supporting her compassion and fidelity. Alcestis augurs an act of empathy and devotion. While you may give too much of yourself, the mythic narrative reminds us that noble acts are supported by the heroic parts of ourselves. Isn't this a great book? We give something of ourselves in order to transform our current situation and relationship. The feminine spirit is generous, devoted, and selfless. Acts of love and devotion are supported by the strong inner spirit of the heroine. So this is showing that here is Alcestis. She has died, and that is her soul. She has taken the poison so that her husband Almedas could live. Now, if I was going to use this to read from and someone got this card, it would be talking about her devotion to family. Has she sacrificed herself for anything lately? And was it the right thing to do or not? This card says it is the right thing to do because Almedas lived and she got to live in the end. So that's pretty neat. And I hope you can see, but she has a pillow, and so she prepared herself to die. And sometimes when we sacrifice ourselves for our family, it isn't a good thing. But this card is saying that staying home with your mom to take care of her instead of moving across the country for your big job, that was the right thing to do. So that's Alcestis. Next is Amalthea. Amalthea. I don't know if it's Amalthea or Amalthea. High in the mountains of Crete, Amalthea protects young Zeus from his devouring father, hiding him in the folds of her garment. She nurtures the young god in exile, enabling him to later find his place in the world. When Zeus overthrew his father and ascended to the throne of Olympus, Zeus elevated Amalthea to the constellation of Capricorn. One of the horns, filled with the fruits of the harvest, cornucopia, the horn of plenty, became her symbol. The goat also symbolizes the marginalized or the scapegoat. As the abundant mother, Amalthea nurtures the rejected and disenfranchised aspects of the self, recognizing the divine within. The card encourages you to care for the abandoned and unwanted parts of the self as you prepare to take your place in the world. It is also a period of seclusion to devote time to the task at hand. While this isolation may feel lonely, this card suggests an important initiation is taking place. Feelings of rejection and unworthiness are cradled by the feminine spirit who accepts all aspects of ourselves without judgment or conditions. That's a pretty high and tall order to fill. I personally can't accept everyone for everything they are, but I do think sometimes it's important to help others be protected while they're learning, or hide a social outcast or help a social outcast get what they need so that they can be a regular citizen. Seeing the Capricorn goat as a scapegoat instead of the devil is something I've never thought of before. Maybe I did when I was younger, before I knew the devil aspect of the goat, but I can see where that would make sense with this card. So if we want to talk about how this card would be read, I would say that she is the person getting this helping someone, and if they're not, who can they be helping? Next is Aphrodite. I love that card. It's so pretty. This card announces the arrival of Aphrodite, the goddess who governs the unfathomable depths of the sea. Aphrodite ruled the waves, riding in her chariot drawn by two Tritons, who heralded her arrival with the conch. As queen, she holds the scepter, which invests her with authority over all creatures of the ocean. Her appearance suggests that you are able to rein in wild feelings in order to ride out the storm. This card also signifies that you have recently been in contact with the depths of the unconscious and are now better equipped to understand it. I think that's great to think of the ocean as the unconsciousness. On an oracular level, the card suggests a deep understanding of your current situation and the protection of the goddess to weather any storms on the horizon. Aphrodite puts us in touch with the ancient aspect of the psyche, the depths of the unconscious, and stormy feelings that arise. So if someone got this card, I would talk about or assume that the person has gone through a deepening of feeling, meaning they've grown in who they are, and they become a better person because they understand more about life and themselves. And subconsciously and unconsciously they have actually healed themselves. And so going forward is something that is inevitable, and they have fortune with them and someone protecting and helping them for being part of the ocean. Next we have Antigone. Let's find her. Hers is a sad story. Come on. Here she is. On a hill outside Athens, Antigone gently guides her blind father to the end of his long and painful journey to the sacred spot where he will find eternal rest. Her father Oedipus had unwittingly killed his own father and married his mother. Nonetheless, Antigone remained loyal and devoted to her family. She was even prepared to endanger her own life for those she loved. Antigone's heart is loyal to her family and the gods shaping its fate, and because of this, Antigone is entombed alive. This image suggests that Antigone is conscious of being entombed by the fate of her family. Antigone is representative of the family member who is devoted and dutiful to the family. When this card is chosen, it reveals a familiar situation demanding loyalty. Even though others may feel differently, it is important that you remain loyal to your group and recognize the common bond. Our family is our fate, and each member of the family is bound by it. This heroine's spirit acknowledges this truth in order to be loyal and true to her own individuation. Okay, so I wouldn't have read that like this. I would actually read it as the opposite of Alcestis, because this would be a time where family loyalty got you nothing. It got you death. And the father, some would say he could have made that journey alone, or someone else in the family could have gone with him. Why did she, the youngest, have to die? But this is saying that we are bound to fate bound to our family by fate. And that's very interesting. The book is saying that in order to be loyal to your own self, you have to be loyal to your family. And I wouldn't take it as far as she did, but I guess we could go with that as the reading. Aphrodite. Where'd she go? Here she is. Aphrodite is the ancient goddess of love, sexuality, and beauty. Born from the mysterious union of her heavenly father in the sea, Aphrodite represents a force that is not easily parented. She is attended by tritons, sea nymphs, and cherubs, representing both the unconscious and angelic forces released when the goddess's passion is aroused in human expression. Aphrodite reveals that the power of love is arising in your heart, fueled by attraction and desire. The goddess augurs a romantic phase involving either a rekindled current connection or lighting a fire with someone new. Aphrodite is the flutter in the heart or the knot in the stomach when we experience sexual attraction. The goddess represents the discovery of internal worth, value, and beauty through a romantic relationship. So this is taking the traditional approach, meaning that this card is actually sexual desire and love, and that a relationship would be coming soon. Or that if you are in one, that it is good. Ariadne. This one's a really neat one. I really like this one. Well, I like her story. And I like what's in the book. If I can find her. Here she is. After betraying her family to help Theseus slay the Minotaur at the heart of the familiar labyrinth, Ariadne was abandoned by her lover. She stands at the precipice of desire, staring in disbelief as Theseus sails away without her. Though the dark clouds overhead and the raven reflect her turmoil, the raven also signifies that she is on the edge of renewal. The devastating outcome of her passions are awoke Ariadne to the truth of herself. On the threshold of abandonment, her true soulmate, Dionysus, appears. Dionysus celebrated their sacred marriage by offering her the crown of intimacy and eternal union. Ariadne reminds us that abandonment strips away illusions and awakens us to the divine truth. She embodies the soulful journey through the labyrinth to arrive at a genuine relationship. This is one of the more interesting love relationships in mythology, because she's just this normal person who looks normal and is good at weaving. And she helps a hero get to, fight off the Minotaur and be a winner, victorious. And so she thinks that, she's going to go with him to live with him and marry him. And pretty much she finds out he was using her in a certain way, and now he's gone. So you would see that when you look at her, she's just, there's nothing left for her. But then Dionysus, the one who could never be caught by anyone, the major partier of all time, he's the one that wants her over all other women to marry, and he never cheats on her and never leaves. It's crazy because when people think of Dionysus, he does have other attributes besides getting drunk and whatnot. People call him Bacchus too. But he just kind of... There's no way that he would have picked a normal person. But it shows that through time, they have both been formed to come together, and that it works out. And that's kind of a miracle. So that's what a soulmate is. It's something that you don't expect, but when it comes, it is just in time and makes perfect sense. So that's what I would say about this card, that a soulmate is there or on the horizon, and that's exciting. Artemis, also known as Diana. Artemis, the goddess of the wild, personifies the beauty of nature, whether that is the purity of the land, the stillness of the forest, or the tranquility of mountain lakes. Artemis is both the huntress and the wild animal. Her closest bond besides her brother is with the animal kingdom. Though Artemis is a fierce lion among women, she also oversees childbirth and offers protection to women in transition. Artemis was especially protective of adolescents, encouraging young boys and girls to roam free and explore the delights of nature, like the Scouts. Artemis serves as the midwife for your next stage of life. She encourages you to be in touch with your instinctual nature and true feelings. She invites you into her domain to spend some time in nature or with animals. Artemis is the instinct to roam freely in nature and to express the untamed aspects of the self. She is inherent in every transitional stage, especially in the prepubescent years. So you could see her as a perpetual teenager or a woman who is in charge of scouting, like the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. But she actually was pretty deadly and very fierce, known as a lion among women. I had never heard that before, but that makes sense. And her being transitional in every stage of your life, I would say I wouldn't believe that. I would say it's only in the beginning, and that she'll help anyone if they come to her if they're a woman, and she would try to kill any man that comes and ruins the safety, because she has tried to do that before. But of course, you see, and she has the torch, which means the crossroads trespass, people can come. But the thing is, people can't stay there to live, so it is a transition. And nature is something that you go into to renew yourself. So I would have called this a renewal card instead of a transition card. I don't really know how I would read that, really. I guess it would depend on the person. But freedom and nature is probably the more important aspect of this card. And Athena. As a warrior queen, Athena was born fully armored from the head of her father Zeus. Her path follows the powerful struggle between her dominant father and her intuitively wise mother, who is Thetis. The many images associated with Athena include the owl, representing her wisdom, winged Nike, celebrating her victories, and Athena's helmet and spear, emblematic of her warrior aspect. Athena encourages us to be heroic and battle the aggressive forces of our instinctual nature. When we choose Athena, it is necessary to detach, reflect, and refrain from reacting emotionally. The card suggests the need to be the wise warrior who uses strategy and cunning to formulate a decisive path of action. When torn between the head and heart, Athena encourages us to choose the course that will champion our cause. Reflection and mediation help us develop strategies for dealing with situations. Athena is the valued intelligence that guides our instincts and decisions. This is a pretty cool card. It says, use the heart and the head to choose the course which will champion for us. That's so great. I mean, we should always be putting ourselves first so that we can help others as far as health and decisions are made. I don't know if Nike was always with Athena. I think that Nike was doing a bunch of other things too, but just in pictures she's with her to remind everybody that Athena never lost. And so you could say that a woman would never lose if she uses both instinct and intelligence, because she's from her father and her mother. Oxo. Onto the fields of barley and grain, Oxo adorns the crops with the nourishment of the goddess, who brings prosperity and wealth. Farmers would petition Oxo as increaser of their crops. Oxo graces our lives with joy and festivity, appearing when there is something to celebrate. When this card is drawn, It signals a season of expansion and a time of rapid growth. Investments are strengthening, business is escalating, creative work is flourishing, and resources are improving. A spirit of wellness is being disseminated into your work and creative endeavors. OXO forecasts a period of expansion in the projects at hand and rewards for projects well done. She also celebrates the prolific bond between the sexes and heralds a period of fertility in relationships. The card implies that it is time to dance and be filled with the spirit of growth and optimism about the future. The heroine innately knows the rhythm of the seasons and expansion. There is an abundant time of growth and development which heralds a period of festivity and good cheer. So you could say that OXO is the goddess of harvest in a way. She shows that what you sowed was correct and that something good will come from it. Now Calypso. It was very interesting. I always like the name too. Calypso sits at the entrance to the cave, forlornly staring at the vast expanse of sea that brought Odysseus to her, but took him away. In front of the cave, the whirlpool sprays water in all four directions. We encounter Calypso when we are lost and need direction. While lonely and isolated, Calypso is also alluring and magical. Her island home represents where we are suspended, living but not at home, loving but not relating, essentially waiting for our lives to catch up with us. Calypso is the lover removed from the world who assists in rebuilding our lives. The cards suggest you have experienced an important process of learning or a magical phase, but it is not destined to be an ongoing part of your life. The feminine spirit guards the vortex at intersections in our lives. Waiting on the threshold of your experience is a guide who will help navigate the return journey to something you have left behind. So this, to me, from this reading and just putting my own stuff on it, I would say that it is, someone was in your life for a time and now they're gone, but it was fine and you can learn from it. And when you're ready to go on, someone will come and help you. I think Carpo is actually known as Paloma, but I don't know for sure. To the ancients, the seasons were the wheel of life, eternally turning and measuring time. Virtuous and ethical, the seasons were guardians of agriculture and nature, becoming the metaphor for social order. Surrounded by the passionate colors of summer, Carpo embodies the abundance of ripe summer fruit. Holding a branch of fruit, she pays homage to the goddess of agriculture and her consorts who provide abundance and fertility. The fruit's seeds and stones are symbols of beginnings for the course of the next cycle lies inside them. Carpo's offering of summer fruit suggests that the ripening of the seed has reached its potential. Therefore, this card implies that a fertile and prosperous season lies ahead. The goddess Paloma, Carpo, was the early meteorological divinity who supplied all the elements for nature to flourish. In her season of summer, she shares her cornucopia of wealth and plenty. So this is not Fortuna. This is Paloma / Carpo. And this is just saying that you could be, the querent could be generous with others because they're flourishing right now. And that if there's anything that they're afraid to do, to go ahead and do it. It also could mean that what they had been planning is coming to fruition and they don't need to worry. Now Cassandra. A very sad story. I have to say, I don't know why anyone would name their kid Cassandra because of this story. I guess they just don't know the story and they think it's a pretty name, but why did it continue then? You know? As a young woman, Cassandra answered her calling as a seer and entered the temple to serve Apollo, who fell in love with her. When she did not reciprocate Apollo's desire, he cursed her, so no one would believe her prophecies. Cassandra personifies the medial woman whose intuitive faculties and understanding of unconscious patterns are not welcomed in a traditional society. She sees what others are too fearful to see, exposing the inevitable fate no one wants to accept. This card advises us to be receptive to collective messages that arise, even though they may not be understood or valued by others. Cassandra invites you to rely on your intuitive knowledge and explore the unconscious language of symbols and images. When the card is chosen, you are seeking a message of guidance. The answer is all around you. Intuitive knowing springs out of the collective unconscious. Through unbound participation with everything in the environment, we become receptive to the spirits of the world beyond us and are called to act as their messenger. So this could say to someone, you have powers you don't know about or you need to develop. This can also mean that you've been telling someone in your family perhaps the truth and they won't listen to you and it's causing a big problem. Or this could be talking also about how someone wanted you and you didn't want them, so now they're making your life miserable. And it's saying that this is really cool because it says that intuitive knowing springs out of the collective unconscious, which means that if you ask the spirit to help you, it will happen. The charities are also known as the graces. In Greek myth, the three charities, or graces, personify feminine attitudes of beauty, charm, and grace. Individually, Aglaia embodies splendor. Euphrosyne personifies gaiety, and Thalia represents festivity, differing aspects of the goddess's love of beauty, harmony, and joy. Though generally portrayed as nudes, the charities are depicted here in different phases of concealment, illuminating their many stages of beauty and grace. They are associated with the joy of life through poetry, song, dance, and celebration. When this card appears, it suggests rejoicing at a wedding, family gathering, festival, social gala, or special commemoration. The charities herald a period of festivity and remembrance and inspire an attitude of thanksgiving and joy. This card promotes you to surround yourself with grace, beauty, and art. Feminine beauty expresses itself through the creative and fine arts, uplifting the spirit and soul. So, if I got this one for somebody, if I got this card, I would definitely talk about how the person needs to do better in their life to put beautiful things around them. They need to go to plays and be creative. They need to be inspired to become beautiful and feminine because it will help their life immensely. The next is Hecate. Hecate's cave between the earth and the underworld confirms her role as an intermediary between both worlds but bound to neither. We encourage Hecate when the paths of our lives converge and we are uncertain which direction to follow. She shepherds the way with her canine companions and lights the path with her torch. Knowing the wisdom of cycles and their triune phases of birth, death, and rebirth, the lunar goddess, new moon they should say, also represents women's menstrual cycles and life transitions. She appears on the threshold of change as women enter new phases of their lives. During a transition, Hecate encourages you to neither look back to the past nor rush forward into the future. Petition her wisdom to relieve the anxiety, insecurity, and insecurity that accompany change. Create rituals to help you navigate feelings of confusion, loss, and disconnection at crossroads and to manage the transition. Rituals are very important, and for some reason in our day and age, it doesn't seem to be that people remember that they could help us. I forget all the time that if I just go back and do certain things that have helped me before, or if I stop and do some kind of talk down or looking at something I like or eating or taking a bath or something like that, then it will change how I feel and I can move forward in a better way. Now, Hecate is she's known now as the goddess of witches, but she had a bigger purpose, I guess you could say. In Greek mythology, she was Demeter's best friend, and she was Persephone's godmother. She was the only person / goddess besides Persephone who could go back and forth from Hades to the regular world. And she also was at crossroads, meaning like not just crossroads of life per se, but now that's what we think. But she would show up where when warriors had to go a certain way, or someone who was fleeing society and they actually were innocent, she would help them get to where they were supposed to go. And she was always benevolent. She always was taking care of animals. And you can see here, there's sheep down here, meaning a shepherd, which is one of her roles. And then she has her 2 canine companions. They're actually black. I don't know why they're white in this one, in this picture, but otherwise the picture is very good. And Hecate is known as a triune goddess, a triple goddess. And that's because she has different aspects, and in some instances she would have a human head, a horse head, a dog head. Different things would happen for different reasons. So I really like her. I like this card, how it looks, except for the white dogs. They're supposed to be black. And it would be easy to explain to someone, a querent, if they got this card, that they need to think about rituals again. Even write them somewhere so that they would remember, and that you can petition her to help, and also that she will help you in times of trial. You could replace her with Mary, or any goddess that helps the outcast and the person who is in need. Gaia Abundance. Gaia was the first to materialize through the gaping void of chaos. As the mother of creation, she gave birth to the heavens, the mountains, and the sea. Depicted on the card are the first man and woman seen bathing naked in her natural waterfalls and breathing in her life force. When Gaia is chosen, the individual is in the custody of the Great Mother, protected and nurtured by the natural world and its seasons. On an oracular level, the arrival of Gaia signals a season to experience the world in a new and plentiful way. In this period of formation and creativity, Gaia indicates that you have ample resource. By attuning to the natural world, you will hear her prophecy of prosperity. Life renews itself through Gaia, who knows the mysteries of life, death, and rebirth. Through her, we are reborn into a fertile and abundant world. This isn't as straightforward as it looks, because this card can mean that there's an abundant time coming, and that it will be everlasting, or it will have like a unlimited supply. But that doesn't really happen in real life. So I might say that someone should seek Gaia in the way that is that you always can go to something or someone for abundance, and that when it happens, know that it came from that thing, and then when it goes away, know that it went away, but it'll come back again from that very thing. Mnemosyne Ii. To the ancients, the faculty of memory was so important that it was personified as a goddess and sometimes depicted as a sacred spring or river. Lethe, the river of forgetting, sleeps at her feet. Mnemosyne Ii, the daughter of Gaia, represents memory before the advent of writing and literacy. She is the voice of an oral culture which communicates through stories, pictures, poems, metaphors, and body language. Her memoirs are relived through dreams, feelings, longings, or sudden thoughts that dart into consciousness. Recalling earlier emotional reactions creates greater awareness, so the goddess asks you to honor them as part of your myth-making. As an agent of healing, Mnemosyne Ii evokes feelings and images that are ready to be understood and released. Mnemosyne Ii recollects images and impressions from the past in order to give meaning and continuity to our lives. With this card, I would say for somebody to think about, look back on their past and on the way they remember things. Is it accurate or not? And if not, see if it can be put right, and if it can't, it needs to be ignored. And because when someone has a memory, especially of themselves, and it is incorrect, it can ruin how that person thinks of themselves, and going forward, things won't be right and chaos will ensue. Themis. Themis is the original Greek goddess associated with law and justice. She is an early consort of Zeus, who later appropriated her sphere of justice. Her daughters, the seasons, personify law, justice, and peace, the three aspects of civic virtue that Themis initiates. In her right hand, she holds the sword of discrimination, which allows her to cut through to the heart of truth. The scales in her left hand signify her ability to weigh and balance both sides of the situation. Themis personifies the wisdom of justice that weighs different points of view in order to resolve the conflict in the most egalitarian way. On an oracular level, the card signals a situation that needs resolution. Themis appears when we need to weigh old feelings and judge the current situation. Themis is conscious of two modes of justice: instinctual order, which is influenced by feelings, and rational order, promoting reason and civil law. So instead of seeing this card like the Justice card in tarot, this is kind of like Athena's card, but instead of having heart and head, there's instinctual order and rational order. And having a balance of those is really important, and so the querent would have to judge whether or not they're in the middle. Metis was the earliest goddess of wisdom. Her intelligence arose from the depths of her feelings, hence she was known as the personification of insight and prudence. When Metis became pregnant by Zeus, he felt threatened that their child would dethrone him, just as he had done to his own father. Therefore he devoured Metis. Athena, the Olympian goddess of wisdom, was their child, born through Zeus's head. This fanciful myth describes the cultural shift from instinctual wisdom to intellect. Metis sits on the throne of perception, holding the scroll of wisdom. On one side is the sun, representing Zeus's rational way of knowing. On the other side, the moon reflects the intuitive mode of Metis. This card suggests an integrative approach to decisions using both the left and right brain. Wise decisions require not only rational knowledge, but also intuition and feeling. Metis symbolizes wisdom, experienced as a gut knowing, a confluence of thoughts and feelings. Metis is the human faculty that allows us to instinctually know things and to articulate this to others. So unlike the Athena and Themis card, the Metis card is talking about just the instinct, just the gut knowing. And it's a very human card. It says that humans, namely the querent, will instinctually know things and how to articulate this to others, and that what they think should be followed. I realized while doing these cards that each goddess means something very specific, and sometimes the meanings overlap. And so having these cards, these oracular cards, having all the different goddesses, sometimes they interlap too. Nemesis, daughter of night, is an ancient goddess of justice known also as the goddess of the inevitable. She personifies the wisdom of karmic retribution and is intimately involved with the wheel of fortune. When this card is drawn, you may be struggling to accept what is inevitable or feeling the unfairness of life. However, you are in the sanctuary of Nemesis, who clasps the thin veil between divine retribution and human justice. While you might feel wronged, it is important not to seek revenge, but to allow divine justice to prevail. On an oracular level, Nemesis is the inner knowledge that against all odds, integrity will triumph in the end. Nemesis understands that life is inherently just and that the wheel of fortune raises us up and lets us down. The goddess validates our feelings, placing them on the wheel of life and releasing us from acting on them. So, this is very interesting. I wonder if Nemesis and Fortuna are sometimes the same goddess, but I've never seen that before. What we see here is that Nemesis has these beautiful swans, and she's surrounded by darkness. Not only does she come in the night, but she comes swiftly because she has these swans helping her fly to where she needs to go. Nemesis isn't evil, and she isn't vindictive. She's actually carrying out what Themis wants to happen. So if something she isn't exactly so if a person would get the Nemesis card, it means that divine retribution is coming and all they need to do is sit back and wait. But if they are on the other end, they should know that they will get their comeuppance, even if it's harsh. Queen of the night sky, Selene constantly reflects sunlight, the conscious way of knowing things. As a lunar goddess, her wisdom is reflective and instinctual, born from knowing moods and cycles. Selene's face is constantly changing, appearing in the light and then disappearing in the shadow, mapping time and recording the rhythms of our lives. Selene encourages you to seek this path of knowledge by being attentive and receptive. Communicate with the inner world of symbol and fantasy. Explore the image of the dream and acknowledge your intuitive responses. It is the time to be reflective and meditative. Moods are indicative of lunar process, and Selene offers you the light of the moon when you are feeling uncertain, confused, or lost. Selene weaves her way through a labyrinth of impressions, feelings, and senses. Her changing shape in each phase of the cycle reminds us of the temporal nature of our experiences. This is slightly vague, but it's a good card because it looks great, and I wish this was a moon instead of a star or snowflake. It makes me very annoyed. But it does have her with her horses in the chariot, and traditionally in the Renaissance and beyond, she does have this chariot. I guess I would say this would be about dreams and fantasy and intuition about those dreams and fantasies. To the poet Homer, Eos was the rosy-fingered goddess of the dawn. As she rises, she lifts up the night sky, yet through her veil some stars remain visible. Her seductive appearance entices us to arise and welcome a new day. To the ancients, dawn was a symbol of the elusive and short-lived phase of youth. Aging is inevitable, youth is transitory, but like dawn, it heralds the beginning of maturity. When Eos is chosen, it suggests you are at the dawning of an adventure or new stage of life. The future is filled with possibilities, but Eos warns us not to be carried away by the exuberance of youth. On an oracular level, Eos suggests we are becoming aware of a new phase or experience. Dawn marks a transitional phase, and Eos prepares us for a new life experience. So Eos, also known as Aurora or Dawn, suggests we're becoming aware of a new phase of experience, but it also is talking about youth. I would probably focus on the youth aspect of this card, and also maybe feeling like youth is important or not. Hestia personifies the authenticity of the inner life, symbolized by the spirit of the sacred flame. Her sanctuaries were places of refuge, retreat, and political asylum. Just as Hestia tends the hearth at the center of the home, this card suggests we are central to the welfare of our family unit or social circle. As custodian of the soulful space of inner self, Hestia personifies stillness, discretion, centering, and stability. When this card is chosen, the goddess prescribes quiet solace and retreat from the anxiety and stress of our everyday lives. Create some daily rituals that promote a meditative state and space hospitable to all your thoughts and feelings, especially those that have been ignored. Hestia honors soul by giving it a peaceful, sacred place. As the hearth, she provides warmth, stillness, quietude, meditation, and solitude in the midst of each day. When I see Hestia, especially in this picture, I'm reminded that she had many acolytes and virgins that would be her followers, and they would live in her temples, and it was a very feminine thing. And actually Medusa was part of that before she was changed into a monster, into a gorgon. Attachment, separation, and loss are intricately woven into the tapestry of life. Mourning allows the process to be complete so that we may let go and life can be renewed. Status and achievement in the world are intricately aligned with social customs and tradition. Equality in relationships is necessary at all stages of life for both inner and outer fulfillment. Your enemy. Out of chaos emerges the power to create. Your enemy personifies the possibility that something can arise from nothing, and that creative potentials arise out of confusion and disarray. Cybele. Cybele, the mother of the gods, knew the secrets of reproduction and controlled fertility. Inherent in the human psyche is the understanding of the process of renewal. The goddess reminds us that powerful forces are released after a period of withdrawal and hibernation. Persephone is characteristic of the intense changes that occur when we come in contact with the unconscious. This descent stage in the archetypal journey confronts unknown aspects of the self. Circe represents the magical aspects of the psyche that harness the unconscious powers to alter the life direction. Conflict is an aspect of the human drama. When we confront discord openly, the issue can be resolved and released. The spirit of victory can rise above conflict and defeat to triumph and be successful. Nike personifies the human virtues of strength, courage, and determination to overcome the obstacles of life. Hygeia. Hygeia reminds us that when the soul is unnourished, it speaks through illness and disease. Health is forged through the alliance of the inner world with the outer and the serpent with the soul. Iris. The spectrum of the rainbow is emblematic of the initiation and ascent into consciousness. The goddess facilitates this connection through Iris. Iris would venture into the underworld or travel to Olympus along the iridescent path of the rainbow, carrying messages from the gods. She bridges the realm of heaven and the underworld, and connects the mundane with the spiritual. Harmonia's ornament reminds us of the ancient marriage of heaven and earth, love and war. Harmony in our earthly lives is a legacy of the goddess, facilitated through the acceptance of opposites, which are her mother, Aphrodite, and her father, Mars. Hebe draws the pure water from mountain springs and pours the nectar into the cup to serve the gods. She is the aspect of the goddess that allows the heroic self to feel immortal through divine sustenance. Hebe empowers our spirit and restores our ideas in God. Life feels insecure when we are caught up in the ceaseless change of the outer world. Tai Chi leads us into the fortunes of the inner life, where challenges may lead to unexpected good fortune. The soul that is asleep can be awakened through love. What seems impossible is attainable through application to the task of life. No matter how painful and devastating events may be, the goddess bestows her benevolent gift of renewal through the auspices of faith and hope. Medusa is the transforming nature of the dark feminine. Her spirit is liberating and life-giving when the depth and honesty of feeling are expressed, but she turns monstrous when her powerful force is denied or split off from rational intellect. The feminine spirit intimately knows the transformational value of beauty. When used superficially, it can often lead to disaster, but when internalized, it shapes oneself of self-worth and respect. Clytemnestra. Potent feelings like jealousy, revenge, and rage are often repressed and rationalized. However, feminine wisdom suggests that acknowledgement of authentic feelings can lead to forgiveness. Faithfulness to loved ones allows everyday tasks to have meaning and purpose. When we lose our identity to another, we become voiceless and ungrounded. Healthy relationships honor and celebrate individuality. They are not codependent. Galatea. From birth, we are immersed in triangular relationships, and through conscious awareness and reflection, we can be aware of effective ways to handle this unstable arrangement. Mnemosyne. The ancients described character as fate. Inherent in each human are unalterable patterns that shape our temperament from birth. We are called upon to accept them and follow the course predesigned by the Mnemosyne. Medea. Intuitively, you know the wisdom of the body and what it needs to be well. Medea reminds you to honor the powerful healing properties found in the natural world. Divination ascertains the will of the goddess Hestia and directs the individual to act in accordance with the will. Knowing the self means being attuned to the deeper feelings of the unconscious. Feminine. Our creative self allows us to encounter the world of fame and celebrity. Feminine wisdom values the difference between earning a reputation and seeking adulation. Mnemosyne. The feminine spirit knows the ecstasy of freedom. Feminine wisdom highlights the importance of having time and space to devote to the spiritual self, unencumbered by practical demands. Flora. Our life force is a renewable resource which flowers when it is time for the new cycle to take hold in the world. Iphigenia. The heroine knows she must leave her father's house and return to the feminine values suppressed by the patriarchal relationship. Hesperides. The feminine spirit protects and guards the sacred mementos of the heroine's psyche. Penthesilea. The goddess protects heroines who fiercely defend their rights and look after their dependents, and the feminine psyche, the archetype of the Amazon, reinforces your freedom and autonomy.